Okay, let's get started so that we can continue forward. Everybody's with me? All right, let's have a word of prayer before we begin. Father, again, we come humbly before your throne, asking for divine wisdom, guidance, asking for understanding, Father. Please give us the mind of Jesus Christ so we can understand and prepare, especially for what is coming. Even the small details, Father, that your name may be glorified. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay, I'm going to start by showing you here my tray that I was talking about. And I haven't had one person yet come to me and say, I want to purchase one of these trays. You know why? That typically happens because you don't know what this is. You don't know what it's about. Let me wake you up. Can you do this with any tray? I'm telling you, these are one of the best trays. These are called the wind strip tray. Wind strip tray. These are one of the best trays you can buy. It will last till Christ comes. All right? Sorry? Wind strip. STRIP. I have them here. Okay, I got about 20 of them. So if you want to buy them, it's $15 each. Let me share something about these. What's so special about these? Well, these don't have any BPA, or they're designed especially for plants. No chemicals. They're very hard. My son placed one accidentally behind my van. I ran it over, and it's still intact. I'm not telling you run it over, okay? But I'm just telling you that that's how strong they are. Um, Now, have you ever seen in some of these little potting, these little pots right here when you buy your plants? Have you ever seen when you pull it out, getting ready to transplant, that the roots are just going around and around and around? That's called root bound. Okay, that means the plant is extremely stressed. It is very stressed. The plant is not designed to do that. The roots is designed to spread. But when that happens, you have a stressed plant. And as soon as you transplant it, it's going to send signals because it's very stressed. You know who's going to send signals to? Bugs. And we're going to talk about that this morning. Okay, it's going to send signals to bugs. And what are the bugs going to do? Eat it, yes, because they do to communicate. An unhealthy plant will send a signal to a bug to tell it to eat it. But at the same time, a healthy plant will also send a signal to the bug and tell it, "Do not eat me." Oh well, but that's when it's calling for help. But I'm talking about a healthy plant. Um, Do not eat me, or you will die. And we'll talk about that when we talk about insects. Now, this does not permit the plant to get root bound. These special little strips, that's why it's called wind strip, because there's little strips inside here. Can't really see them from there, but there's little strips in here. And the design of this tray is especially made so that it will not get root bound. So you want to have stressed plants. So this is all I use. I used to do soil blocks. How many of you are familiar with soil blocks? Some of us are. All right, soil blocks are very good too. I like soil blocks because they also don't permit the roots to get root bound, but it takes a lot of time for us, and we do hundreds of uh, transplants. Thank you. And so to do, just hundreds and hundreds of little soil blocks, it's going to take a long time. Well, rather this right here, as you can see, this already has the potting soil inside there. All right, I already did it. You see, is it falling? No, it's not falling. That's the first thing people ask. They say, well, if you put it in there, is it not going to fall down here? All you got to do is put it in there. And what I do is once I fill it up with my hand, I get another one, and I'm not saying buy two. Okay, I'm just a demonstration. I'm putting it in here, and then I just press it down a little bit, compress it just a little bit. And once I compress it, I put a little bit more, and look at that. It's not falling. It's not going anywhere. Once you wet it, and once the plant grows, all you have to do is push it from the back here with your finger. Just push it. You see my finger? Push it, pull it out, and it stays intact. I do not recommend at all. If the only thing you can use or you have to use, then use it. But do not use the outside soil. Okay? It will make it heavier, and you're not going to be able to take it out that easily. So buy like a potting mix, all right? Like the one I showed you yesterday. You can use the Pro Mix that I showed you. Remember the Pro Mix bag I showed you yesterday on the screen? That's what we use right there, okay? Um, any questions on that? I have to fly again, like always, like usual. Any questions on that? Is this on? Yeah.
I hear you.
No, no, no. This one. Is it green?
No. Oh, yes, yes, it is.
Oh, yes. Okay. All right. So let me put this aside then. And by the way, uh, here I have 72, and then I think I have another one that has a 50 um, for 50 plants. And these are 72 here. You can, let me just say that. What you could do is, you don't need to use all for tomatoes. For example, let's just say tomatoes. You could put right here tomatoes, the next tray, or the next line right here, you could put peppers, and the next line, eggplant. I mean, you can use it whichever way you want. You don't have to put 72 tomato plants in there, all right? So you can use whatever you want. Now, let me talk about this, and I only brought one. Can somebody do me a favor? In my table right there, can somebody bring me one underneath that tarp? On top of the, yes, right there.
Another tray.
No, no, the microgreen tray. It's right after that tray. Yes. Thank you, brother. Okay, I appreciate that.
Don't drive over that one, right?
No, no, not this one. Okay, that's why I miss my son so much because he'll be right on top of it for me. Okay, these are microgreen trays. How many of you have heard of microgreens? Okay, how many of you do microgreens? Just one. Okay, so I gave you the shirt for that then, sister. The next time you do microgreens, use that shirt. Okay, so microgreens are exactly what they say they are. They're just greens that are in micro size, right? Small vegetables. And we typically harvest them between 1 week to 2 weeks, depending on what you're growing, right? Like a sunflower would take a little longer than a week, somewhere around 2 weeks, somewhere around there. Um, but something like a brassica, broccoli, or something like that, I can harvest that in about a week. So basically, you can have fresh vegetables in about a week. You don't have to wait. Now, this is a little bit different than this is microgreens. And what's the name of the other one? Sprouting. Thank you. I don't do sprouting. Sprouting, you do it in jars and waters. I like this one. I like this one a lot better because you get a big harvest and you can get a lot. Okay, and I'm going to show you what you need to do. For those of you who are over there, you might want to come a little closer. Okay, so what we do is we fill it up again. You can fill it up with any kind of potting soil. And again, I wouldn't use the soil outside in your garden because it will make it heavy, you know. But it's basically, you can use any kind of potting soil. The reason why is because it's not focusing on the roots. You're not focusing on the nutrients. You're focusing on the nutrients in the seed. So you're just harvesting really quick when it has only 2 leaves, the first 2 leaves, okay? And if it goes to 4 leaves, then pretty much it's not going to be a microgreen anymore. It's going to be a regular vegetable. So this is different from, these two are not the same. This is to transplant outside. This is just to cut it in about a week or 2 weeks or so, okay? So, sorry? I have some here, yes.
What are they?
10. Okay, so I'm just going to use this potting soil that Brother Ernie had for his cabbage plants. So what I do basically is just fill it up, and I just leave it a little bit below the top line, just a little bit, you know, just about 1/8 of an inch or so. And then let's just say it's filled. I have a piece of wood over there back home, a piece of pine that I cut out specifically for this. And what I do is I just compress it too as well. I'm going to use this tray. I don't like to use a tray because it has lines. And this line right here is going to give it is the same contour, you know. And I don't really like that. I like it completely flat. But I'm going to use it just for demonstration purposes. So as soon as I compress it down, I'm ready to plant. Okay. So what I'm going to do, and you can do a lot of these at the same time. And let me share something else about this. If you're living in the city and you don't know what to do as far as income, this can be a very good source of income. I know people who are making $2,000 a week, and there's one guy in Massachusetts. I think he's in Boston, if I'm not mistaken, but he's making over $100,000 a year just in microgreens. So it could be a very lucrative business. I'm not in it for that. I rather, be a blessing. But you can even if you make $500 a week, it's pretty good money, right? I mean, for example, let's say in this off-grid sanitarium, does Brother Ernie have an electric bill? Does he have a water bill? No, so he has no expenses as far as utilities, right? And so, sorry?
Internet.
Oh, internet. So if he's growing these microgreens right here, right? And so let's just say they just came over here, they have no expenses, no utility bills, and they want to make money. I mean, if he can sell one tray, I remember when I was doing some meetings in California, I remember that we stopped at a farmer's market, and one guy was selling the whole tray for $30. Not the tray itself, I mean, he would have to cut, but the whole thing for $30. Now, he had a bunch of trays out there, a lot of trays. So if you go home, let's just say you sell $100 in one day, and you do this 5 days a week, $500. Is that not good if you have no expenses? That's a very good, right? Okay, so now after I have the soil inside here, I'm gonna grab my bag of microgreens seeds. Now, the best place to get this is True Leaf Market. True Leaf Market. They specialize in microgreens. Okay, you do not want to use your regular packet of seeds that you use for the garden. You don't want to use that because there's only a little bit of seeds in there, and you're going to need more than a little bit of seeds. These packets, they come a lot of seeds, okay, and you can use them for. I've used them in one packet. It's a pretty big package. One package of broccoli seeds I use probably maybe 5 times, maybe 5 trays, somewhere around there. And I apologize. I wanted to bring some already ready, but I didn't get a chance because a lot of things happened. My wife's back started going out on her again, so a lot of things. And I want to bring the microgreens seeds as well, but I couldn't get a chance to get it. Anyway, so what we do is we grab the microgreen seeds, whatever it is, okay? True Leaf Market will give you the seeds. They have a PDF file of what you can seed. So you can go on there, and if you don't know how to do this, they also have, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, a YouTube video on how to do this, okay? If you want to just kind of refresh your course. TrueLeafMarket.com. So you grab, let's just say we have broccoli seeds, right? I'm going to broadcast it. Does everybody understand when I say broadcast? Right? Just spread it. I'm going to spread it around everywhere evenly. I'm not going to get a mound of seeds in one spot, because if they all sprout, you know what's going to happen? You're going to get fungal diseases. You're going to get mold. You don't want that in there. So you don't want to bunch them all together. But you want to spread them out evenly. But at the same time, you don't want a lot of spreading. You want them sort of like this about. And then you want to spread them evenly. Once you see that they're spread evenly, I take my board again and I just press it. We're not going to bury them. The purpose is not burying them because we're going to harvest them really quick. Okay? I'm just going to press it again. Just make sure that it contacted with the soil. Once I do that, then I just you can get a spray bottle. Just spray it. I like to use my hose on mist, exactly, and I mist it really gently. You don't want to use it on like shower or blast or anything, because you'll just blast your seeds out of there. So you just gently mist it really quick. Now, if I'm going to do this, I do a lot of them at the same time. I put like about 5 of them at the same time. Once I have that ready, and I have another one ready, and I have a bunch of them ready, what I do is I stack them one on top of the other. Okay, then I grab my other one, I stack about 5. And at the last one, I'm going to have a solid tray. You don't need to have a solid tray for this, because you can just use a piece of board or something like a piece of pine. But I'm going to have a solid tray, and I'm going to put it on top, and I'm going to put a little bit of weight on top. The weight is to put pressure on the seeds so that the seeds can go which way? Straight up. Because if we don't put a little bit of weight on them, a little bit of stress, okay? Do we need a little bit of stress in our lives too to become Christ-like? Most definitely. So for them to go straight up, and for us to go straight up, we need a little bit of stress too, right? Praise God. Nobody said amen. Okay, so if you don't do that, then some of the seeds can come out like this, just like some Christians, right, walking around like this. We don't want that neither. So we want them all straight up. The reason why we want them straight up is because when it's time to harvest, we want to just be able to just grab them and cut. or you can even use a knife. And they sell the microgreen harvesting tool, a scissors or knife in Amazon. So once I do that, I'm gonna get like a black plastic bag, and I had one. So here it is. I get a black plastic bag and I cover it. And I do this in our high tunnel. You can do this inside the house too. You don't have to have a high tunnel or a greenhouse to do this. You can do this inside the house as well. You might need a special window where it has a lot of light, or some of these shelves that have trays, and you can put a grow light inside. Okay, so what I do is I cover it up, right? I make sure all of them are moist, and then what I do is I put them underneath my table, covered up for the whole day. After the following day, I take them out. I want to check and make sure that they're still moist. If they're still moist, they're good to go. I'll leave them alone. If they need a little bit of water, then I mist them. Then I put them away again. On the third day, I take them out. And the third day, I'm going to remove this and just spread them on my table. Now, they're going to be all yellow. Why? No photosynthesis. That's okay. In the morning, I take them out and I spread them out on the table. By the afternoon, they're green. Yep. So now, all I'm going to do is just make sure they have plenty of water. Let them grow. And I'm going to let them grow to about somewhere around that tall. All right? First 2 leaves. You don't want them to go beyond that. Just the first 2 leaves. And once I'm ready, oh, by the way, when I'm going to water them, when they start growing, I'm going to water them. I don't like to water them above like this, because that's also another way that you can get fungal issues or mold. What I like to do is I like to tip it over like this, and I like just to water the edges right here, so the water can go down. Then I turn it around, and I just water the edge right here, so the water could go down. Okay. There's other people who put a solid tray, and then they put water inside, and they put this on top. Sometimes you're bound to forget, and if you leave it all wet like that, you can also get mold. You can also get fungal issues, and that's why I just do it that way. I mean, there's other people who do have different techniques, which is fine. Whatever works for them, as long as you don't get mold issues. So then I'm ready to cut. Once they're big, they're ready to cut. What I do is I can get my scissors or I can get my knife. You can use whatever knife, but I think it'd be better if you find a microgreen harvesting knife in Amazon, or even a scissors. So what I grab a bunch, I cut, and I put it. I try not to touch the soil. Just go above the soil about that much, okay? Because once you cut it, you can put it in some kind of container, and they're ready to go, ready to eat. All right, and you can do this. You can sell this. You can sell this in supermarkets. You don't, like, for example, I've gone and introduced my microgreens to different supermarkets, and you don't need a license as long as you know your farm. You don't need a license. You can even take them out to a farmer's market. You don't need nothing there at all. You can just sell them there, and you can cut them in portions. For example, you can divide them into 6 portions, 2, 4, 6. And put them in small containers, and you can sell them anywhere from $3, $4, $5.
Do you keep them with the soil, or do you actually cut them in the containers? Like, because you did the example, when you go to sell them, you just cut that up into like 4 pieces of cake. Plastic and leave them.
I have a container with our sticker, with our logo, and all the information it needs, and I put them in there to sell them. But you can take one of these too, like for example, wheatgrass. Because somebody might want to buy the whole thing, or somebody might want to buy portions. And wheatgrass is another good one too.
So he's saying when you put it in the container, is it in the soil, or have you cut it and put just?
No. You cut it. Yeah, you cut it. Once you got it all cut, take the soil that you just used and put it in your compost bin. Do not reuse it again, because you will have a high possibility of fungal or mold issues. So don't use it again. Just throw it in your compost pile.
Sometimes you can buy wheatgrass still in the dirt.
Yeah.
You can go to the store
Yeah.
and buy a chunk of
Yeah.
wheatgrass that's
Yeah.
still in the dirt.
Yeah, and then you cut it yourself.
Mhm.
Yeah. I don't do that. I just cut it out, for them.
How long does it last?
The what?
Whatever you're cutting.
When you
how long
cut
does
it.
it last?
Oh, okay. Now that's a very good question. He said, "How long does it last?" Let me share something with you. When you do your own harvesting of seeds from your own soil, and you do it continually, it's going to last a lot longer than when you buy it from any kind of store. I don't care if it's organic store. It could be True Leaf Market, it could be Baker Creek. Baker Creek is Adventist known, if you didn't know that. It'll last a lot longer than that, a lot longer, because, like for example, Baker Creek. I don't know if I should say this. They're not the only ones that harvest their seeds. They spread it out to other farms, okay, and then they grow the seeds and then they bring it into. I know there's a place. I'm not going to say any names. There's a place that I visited, a farm that's harvesting certain squash for seeds for Baker Creek, and what they're using, I wouldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't. So, but anyway, if you start saving your own seeds, they're going to last a lot longer. Okay, now they last typically about a week, maybe a week and a half, somewhere in that area.
Gotta eat it before that.
Yeah, you got to eat it before that. And let me tell you, it'll be gone because it's small. Small portions. You could do bigger portions, but it'll be gone. You can even sell them to restaurants. Restaurants love them. Okay, especially plant-based restaurants. They love them. So you can take them to supermarkets. You could take it to with a supermarket, you do need to have insurance. They asked me for $1 million insurance, which was about somewhere in the neighborhood of $200 a month, somewhere around that neighborhood. Yeah, but you can take it to supermarkets. You can take it to restaurants. You can take it to farmers market, or you can even do online selling as well. All right, and online selling is picking up. Let me tell you. You can just post it in Facebook. You can post it in whatever other social media and sell. I mean, it's a good income. It's a very, very good income. Yes, sir.
You can only get one harvest.
One harvest. That's why I said, yeah. After you finish cutting it, compost pile, or you can even throw it out in your garden. Just spread it out in your garden because it has what we were talking about right now. It has perlite in there, and it has peat moss. Okay, and that helps with water retention. Okay. Okay.
About the wheatgrass, how about with something I've seen some places that sell you the shakes or whatever the drinks, and they're constantly cutting. I think it's a wheatgrass if they constantly cut.
The wheatgrass could come back.
You can do that one.
Yeah, the wheatgrass will come back. But I'm talking about like vegetables. Yeah, vegetables, no.
The wheatgrass, how long would you be able to keep cutting?
I think it's like 2 or 3 cuttings. Yeah. I was going to say something else. Oh, to clean them. Okay, very important. After you use them, some people use bleach. I don't. So I use, now Home Depot is selling 30% vinegar. I use that to clean it out, 30% vinegar. Walmart doesn't sell it. I think Walmart sells 5% vinegar. I use the 30%. Just all I do is fill up a big tub, and all you got to do is just throw them in there. Just dip them in there, take them out, and then rinse them off, and you're ready to go. Just to disinfect them. We never really had, praise God, we never had fungal issues or mold issues with our microgreens to this day. All right, any questions on that? No questions. Okay. Let me talk about this. Well, this I'm going to talk about when I do the frost protection. I'm going to try to cover a lot right now because today's my last day here. All right, as far as classes. Okay, let me talk about horticultural oil because, yes, ma'am.
So what happens if you don't sell those items?
Take it home and eat it. Or you can share it with, your neighbors, your friends, church. Just, yeah. But one thing I encourage you not to do if you are going to get into this, don't try to be greedy. Okay? Just be fair. Okay? Just try to be fair. Because there are some that get into it and they just want, top dollar for it. Nah. Okay, let me talk about this real quick because I have another bucket here of things that I want to share with you all. Okay, horticultural oil. Now, this is for it is OMRI listed. That means you can use it also for organic farming. All right. Now, I have had so many people back in the Southeast talk to me and ask me what can I do with because Southeast peach trees, apple trees, they suffer so much from so many diseases and bugs. Okay, horticultural oil is one of the best things you can use. Now, remember, this is temporary. This is not a fix-all solution, okay? Because it's just like for example, when we're sick, and they do hydro and do herbal remedies. That's temporary, right? You're not going to be on that forever, right? Change your diet. In other words, change the condition of your body so that then we can kind of wean away from the herbs, wean away from the hydrotherapy. The same, excuse me, the same thing with this. We want to balance the soil out so we're not focusing and just, depending upon this. This horticultural oil is good for all your fruit trees. All right. You spray this in the springtime and in the fall, but do not spray it when it's about 80 degrees or above. It's better between 40 and 70 degrees temperature. All right. And do not spray it when there's flowers in there, neither. So if, for example, if a peach tree has the flowers, do not spray it or leave it alone. So you would spray it typically in the springtime when the leaves are just coming out. You spray the whole tree, trunk, branches, leaves, but do not saturate it. But you just, spray. Everybody understand what I say by spray? You get a pump sprayer. You can get a backpack sprayer, or you can get just a 2-gallon spray bottle, and like at Ace Hardware or Home Depot. And all you do is just spray everywhere, all right? And then you do it again in the fall time. Now, this is going to help prevent. What it does, it forms sort of like a wax on the tree and in the leaves. And it also, if there's bugs around, it'll also kill them. Okay. But again, this is temporary. We don't want to just depend upon this. All right. Somebody had their hand up. Question. Yes. Yes. Grapevines. Yeah. Muscadines. All right. So this is good stuff. We use this as well. Really good stuff. Yes. Yes. You can. Yeah. Just follow the directions. It's going to come with a little booklet. Okay. It's going to come with a little booklet. Just follow. I think it's like somewhere 2 fluid ounces per gallon of water, somewhere around there. It's thick. It's white. Looks like milk. All right, and we've used it before, and especially right now, since we don't have our soil balanced, we definitely have to use it right now. Now, let me share a few other things with you. What is this called here? Everybody knows what this is? Diatomaceous earth. Okay. If you can get this at Home Depot, you can get this at Lowe's, you can get it at Amazon. I would get food grade. The one at Home Depot and Lowe's is not food grade, but you can use it still on your plants. It's safe. But I would get it in food grade because even human beings can take it too, for parasites, but also for silica. Our bodies need silica, very important. Okay, now this is good for example, if you have a tomato tree or tomato plant, right? Before you see any bug pressure, you grab a bunch of this, you put a mask on. Please put a mask on. You don't want to respirate. You don't want to breathe this in, because this has, if you look at it under a microscope, it has like tiny little spikes, and it can cut your lungs if you respirate a lot of it. So it's safe, though. It's safe, aside from that. So you put your mask on, and you just saturate the whatever plant you want to do it. But we're talking about the tomato tree or tomato plant. Just saturate everywhere. Put it everywhere. If a bug eats this, because they do not have the filters that we have, it'll kill them. All right, it'll just cut them up in pieces inside. It'll destroy their intestines and everything, and it'll kill them. Then what you do, you can spread it around a little bit around. Make a circle, like for example. Let me just use this again. This is your plant. Just put a little circle around the plant, okay? Like a barrier, sort of. If it rains, you have to do it again. But it's okay. You know what? If it rains, that's going to mix with the soil, and the soil needs silica as well. So it's good stuff. And this is what I use when I'm going to plant my melons or my watermelon seeds, because this has silica, and silica helps with the sweetness in the fruit.
You coat your seeds with it?
Yes, I coat my seeds with it, yes. Remember I was talking about the mycorrhizal fungi? This is a little bag right here, okay? You can get it. I shouldn't even have it in here. I should have it back home, but I just wanted to show you, because it has to be kept in a cool, dark area. So this is the mycorrhizal fungi. Again, if you're going to use this, try to put a mask on, because you don't want to breathe these fungi inside your system. But this is very important. This is extremely important. This is beneficial bacteria. microorganisms for the soil. Yes. So this is the way you use it. If you're going to transplant, okay. What I do is I have a container. I put some powder, and I dip my transplant. I don't have a. Oh, I wish I did. Sorry. I dip my. Let's just say this is Brother Moses. This yours? No. Let's say this is my plant, right? This is my roots right here, right? I dip it in the container like this with the mycorrhizal fungi, and then I put it inside the hole. Okay, you put it in the roots. You can even put it in water and spray it as well. It's very important. Now, if you use this with your cabbage, your broccoli, spinach, or even your blueberries, they're gonna kick them out of there. They don't want them there. They don't. They're not beneficial for them. They want the other beneficial bacteria. The Brassica family,
Okay.
cabbage, kale, collards, broccoli, stuff like that, blueberries, spinach.
That doesn't work for brassicas?
No, it doesn't.
So that's more like potatoes, carrots, celery.
All right. I'm sure all of you have heard of neem oil, right? This is 100% neem oil. And if you were to pick it up, it's still kind of full. I've had this for years. Years. It's still good. But why is it still full? Why am I not using it? I don't use hardly at all, number one. And number two, like I told you the other day, what I do is I add my minerals, and then I grind all my minerals that the plants need, and I foliar spray them. And so I'm giving the plants a boost through the foliar spray so that they can absorb the minerals much quicker and faster. Okay, this is just a boost in the meantime. And we haven't had much bug pressure with that method. A little bit. How many of you have ever seen the Japanese beetles? Few of us. Okay, Japanese beetles back southeast, they are destructive. I mean, they go after everything. They're very destructive. They'll leave the leaf, the tree, or whatever it is, a skeleton. A little, and once one Japanese beetle finds food, he'll send a signal to the rest, and they'll come. And I do not recommend you buy these traps for Japanese, because you just invite a whole bunch more. Okay, don't buy them. I'll show you what to use. But anyway, Japanese beetles, anything with exoskeleton, hard shell, this is not really going to work that well. You spray them, they're going to be like, ha ha ha, and they're going to keep on. It doesn't work that well, neem oil. This is for more like soft body insects. Now, I mentioned also Japanese beetles because as we're spraying, our minerals, we had just very, very little Japanese beetle problems. Very little, minimal. At the other farm I used to work at, every morning we had to go out there before the sun came out, because in the morning, very early in the morning, they don't fly until the sun comes out. So we had to go out there with a bucket like this, filled with about water, and then just kind of shake them off the tree, just to get rid of them. But this is good for soft body insects, and it's natural. But at the same time, whatever you throw, even if it's natural, even if it's like hot chili pepper, some people do garlic and chili pepper, right, to spray on their plants. Whatever you do will be absorbed by the stomata, the pores in the leaves, just like us, right? Whatever we put on there, it could be a little bit harmful as well if you do too much. Matter of fact, it will be harmful. This is another thing I use rarely. I haven't used this in years as well. You see, this is kind of expensive, but this is sort of like your tank, like your last resort. It's pyganic. It's pyrethrum. It's called pyrethrum, but it's called pyganic because it's organic. It's OMRI listed as well. This will kill beneficial insects and bad insects. I don't use it because we used to have bees out there. I was beekeeping out there. Don't have any more now because just don't have time to keep them. But this will kill any bug, and it's natural. But at the same time, too much of it will harm. I guarantee you, it will harm the plant if you use too much of it. If you want to go that route, if you're having a very serious issue with bugs, you can go that route. Milky spore. Now, this is for the Japanese beetles or any other type of beetle problems you might have. How does this work right here? This has also gotten expensive. It's not cheap anymore. It used to be this little box right here was something in the neighborhood of like, if I'm not mistaken, $20, somewhere around that. It's powder. They have to spread, broadcast around your whole area. But now I think it's somewhere in the neighborhood of $50, $60. It's gotten very expensive. But it's good because this will kill all the grub worms. Can you see the grub worm right there? Because that's the way the Japanese beetle starts off. Because the milky spore is bacteria that goes after the grub worm and eats it, no matter what grub worm it is. So you can broadcast it everywhere around your garden, and because the Japanese beetle loves to dig down, put their eggs down there, and the grub worm will come up out of your garden. I've seen them. When I was working in our garden just 2 weeks ago, I've seen the grub worm. I had to kill a lot of them. Okay. Now, if you have if you're going to use something like neem oil, or there's other, I don't have them all here, but there's other organic pesticides and herbicides and fungicides. There's other organic stuff that you can use. I rarely use any of that stuff. But I would recommend that you get something like sow suds and mix it up with this. For example, neem oil with a little bit of sow suds, the soap. This is, sorry? Sow suds. The reason why, this is soap. This is natural soap, biodegradable, very, very good, organic. You don't have to worry about the soap at all. The reason why I would use this, I don't use it, I haven't used it in a long time, with something like neem oil is so it could stick better. Because this will not last long on the leaf. But if you use it in conjunction with this or any other spray, then it will stick to the leaf longer. So that way, it prevents the bugs from coming in there. Then I had a little bit of a spill. My cap, I think it broke. But as you can see, this is still brand new. This is about, I don't know, 6 years old, somewhere around there. This is orange oil. Smells pretty good. Sorry?
It's basically the same thing. There's something called D-limonene that's
D-limonene?
like orange oil, basically, yeah.
So this right here, you can use this for ants. They hate this. If you have ant problems, orange oil.
I need 5 gallons.
I need gallons of that.
Okay, yeah, they hate that. The other thing you can do if you have a lot of problems with sweet ants, or even the fire ants would do this too. I've seen the fire ants. Is just get borax. You can go to the supermarket, right? Walmart, and buy borax. Borax is boron. Buy borax, put it in a small container, a flat small container like that, but that can hold water. Put some molasses in there or sugar in there. Put borax in there, mix it up, and just leave it by their nest. You can stir them up and leave it there, and they'll take it because it's sweet. They'll take it to the queen, and they'll kill them. I know I had somebody in the audience say, "Oh, don't do that. You're killing God's creation." I got a quote where Sister White says that's nonsense.
Can you tell how to make that again? Was it borax?
Borax, water, and molasses. Or sugar. Yeah. You could get tablespoon. You could get a tablespoon. If it's a small container like this, just a tablespoon of molasses. Mix it up with water. It's just a very small, like a bowl, like this, about this high. You don't want it like that big, because then it's gonna take them a long time. Just something small that can hold water. 1 tablespoon of molasses, and you can put like a tablespoon or 2 of borax. Just mix it really good.
So you want it to still be granular?
No. You want to make it like a paste. You want to really mix it in there, okay? Because
Ants can grab that.
they will grab it.
Dry.
They'll drink it. They'll take it, and they'll take it to the
So
queen.
you want it like a water.
Yes.
Oh.
So you can mix it up. Yes. You can even use boron if anybody has the mineral boron, which I have.
What consistency do you want that mixture?
You can do a paste or water. Paste or watery.
It's gonna dry real quick in Arizona, so how do you figure that?
Just put something above it, like an umbrella, some type of canopy on top of it.
Make it
Add
water.
more water.
No, but listen, all you got to do is stir them up, and kind of leave a trail. Stir them up, leave a trail. They'll take it before it dries. Believe me, they'll take it. They want it.
If you put it near their nest, they'll hate it having it there, so they'll try to get rid of it.
No, you stir them up and leave a trail.
I understand.
So
We have
it's
so
the
many
borax
cutter-
that
we have cutter-
Yes, the borax. Okay, now this is right here. This is beneficial bacteria. Okay, this is called Spectrum. I get this at AEA. AEA stands for Advancing Eco Agriculture. The Amish guy I told you about, John Kemp out in Ohio. He sells a lot. I use a lot of his liquids. I have to because my soil is extremely depleted. I added my minerals, but it's going to take me a little while to get there. So I use his liquids.
What is that called?
Advancing Eco Agriculture. Advancing ECO Agriculture. He's not that cheap, but his stuff is very good. He's the same guy I told you that he said you have to work on the plant to work on the soil. And that's not true. You have to work on the soil, and the soil will work on the plant. Okay, but he sells this beneficial. It's like an inoculant. Very, very good. If you ever want to start your seeds, I would recommend you use this beneficial bacteria. You can use with almost any plant. All right, Spectrum. Yeah. So before this is what I do. I take a container, right, and I pour a little bit of this. I pour some of this. I throw my seeds inside of this, inside of the Spectrum, and I shake it really good. Then I get a how do you say colador? Strainer. Thank you, strainer. I get a strainer with another container, and then I just shake it so that this can drop and my seeds can stay. Now they're coated. Now I'm ready to put them inside my trays. Okay, because this is like an inoculant. This is very, very good as well. And I really like his products. His products, I've seen excellent results with his products.
Does it work with all seeds?
Yes, this one does. This one does.
And you lightly wet the seed? Or you just?
After I put my seeds inside the tray,
Oh,
I bury them, and then I just lightly wet them.
So how do you decide between using that and DE?
Diatomaceous earth.
Mm-hmm.
Diatomaceous earth I will use on the vines, like the melons. Yeah, the melons, the
That's everything else.
watermelon.
And that's everything.
I think Sister Ernie, sorry, brother Ernie. No, I was gonna say Sister
We're
Kim.
not that kind of people.
I was gonna say Sister Kim.
Camp meeting.
We're not that kind of people.
Oh, time out. Come on. All right, take two. I was gonna say Sister Kim, but I saw Ernie there. Brother Ernie, Sister Kim used it on her strawberries, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. Any results?
the D?
Yes.
Oh yeah, they're sweet.
The sweeter?
Oh yeah, I put them every year. I think Kristen tried some. And they're sweet.
Oh, by the way, remember the clamps we were doing yesterday, the small clamps? I had one in here. This is the big one that you use for the rebar at the ends. Yes, I gave Brother Ernie two, so you put them out there. Okay, praise God. So these are the ones you use at the ends. You just clamp them down. As you can see, the wind was blowing, but did it go away? So good job, everybody. Praise God.
Would you use that spectrum even if you were doing microgreens, any seeds, or just, or you're gonna say,
The Spectrum? Any seeds?
any seeds?
Any seeds? Yeah.
Even the microgreens?
No.
Okay, that's what you're-
Oh, I'm sorry. No. The microgreens, like I said, they're just in there for about a week or 2 weeks, and they're out. So you're not focusing on the soil or the minerals. You're not. Practically, you're getting the food or the minerals and the vitamins straight out of the seed. So that's what's happening there.
I have another question. Stink bites. They are very
Stinky.
stinky and very bad to the plant.
Yes, they are.
How in the world,
Neem oil.
neem oil,
Neem oil, yes, you can use or with soap. They hate soap.
yeah, I
They-
heard that. I
yeah.
tried to do something where they say get a bowl, put some soapy water in it with a light over it, and they'll go to it.
Yes.
They didn't even look at it.
A lot of these
So you use the neem oil with the salsa?
yes, and you spray the leaves. Spray the leaves and spray the bottom. I know it's going to dry up, but because the soap is the key right there. 1 second, sister. The soap is the key because the soap will help it stick. All right, and if you see a lot of them around, especially underneath, they'll put their eggs underneath. So you have to be an inspector. If you see some around, I say a few, know that you will have eggs at the bottom. So you have to kind of scrape it off the bottom of the leaf. Yes, sister.
So we've talked about insects. I had a problem this year with little animals. I've let gophers, ground squirrels coming and eating my tomatoes and berries, birds. how do you deal with that?
Okay, gophers, squirrels, moles, you can use what's called castor oil pellets. Anybody know what castor oil is? Okay, you can find that at a garden center, Home Depot, Lowe's. What you have to do is spread it, broadcast it everywhere around your garden, and water. Or you can wait till it's going to rain. Right before it rains, you broadcast it everywhere. If it's not going to rain, then water everything because it activates when it hits water. As soon as water touches it, it's activated. Um, it it's a repellent. They hate castor oil.
Can you dump it in their holes?
Yeah, you can dump it in the hose, but they're just gonna cover it up and go to another hole. That's why you have to broadcast it everywhere. And you do it. If I'm not mistaken, you do it every month, once a month. Do it consistently once a month. But the best deterrent against moles, gophers, and all of them are cats. Believe me, since I started farming, we had cats, and they took care of all moles. Those topos. How many of you know topos? Oh yes, in Spanish. They'll take care of them. They brought them to our house and left them there as gift for us. And yes, I saw just not too long ago, I think like 2-3 months ago, we saw some hills around our sweet potatoes. Like, uh-oh. We picked up our cats. We brought them there. We started digging a little bit. I don't know if they pay attention. I don't know if they're like, okay, are you teaching me something? I'm not sure. But we start just kind of digging. We leave them there. Next day, the gophers or the moles were over there by our house. Dead, because they pick them. Yeah. Somebody had a question back here? Yes. Pack rats? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I know it's squirrels, gophers, moles, but I'm not sure about pack rats. Not sure.
Birds, like birds.
Okay, now
Berries.
now with the birds, get
Netting?
no, yeah, you can do netting, but there's oh, sorry, I just left my mind. That little tiny bird. Help me out. Hummingbird. Thank you. Get hummingbird feeders. Place them all around your trees. Attract them. They're very territorial. Any bird comes around there, they will not permit other birds to come around. They're very territorial. Put hummingbird feeders all around your fruit tree area, your orchard. Put them everywhere. Okay. Put also netting. Okay. Right now, I think the hummingbirds are not going to probably be around because we don't have, anyway. Our fruit trees don't have any fruit right now. So, you cut your netting?
Got caught in it. I had
Le-
to get it out of the netting.
Well, you can use the insect netting.
Sparrow.
The insect netting I'm talking about, they won't get stuck. I didn't bring it with me. I should have. I forgot it. Again, I'm sorry. I apologize. Forgot a lot of things. But Brother Ernie, you remember the insect netting that we used over there at our property that we had? It's. I mean, you can't even see the holes in between. They won't get caught in there. They won't get caught. And you can get those insect nettings very cheap at Deerfield Supply. Again, out in Kentucky. They sell huge rows of them, and you won't have with that any problems with birds getting caught on them.
Okay, thank you.
Brother George, do you feel you could call and pay over the phone that you mail it to?
Yes, yes.
They don't have this website.
They do not have a website. You can call them and place an order over the phone. Again, shipping. Shipping it's just out of the roof, unfortunately. Okay, Deerfield Supply. It's the one that I put in yesterday. If you need the number, I got it on my phone.
That's where we got the row covers
Yeah, the wire hoops.
we got the farmer's friends. They're admins, right?
Yes, Jonathan Dysinger
Tennessee, right?
in Tennessee. Mm-hmm.
Farmer's friends. They sell kits. What is it called? That's 1,500 for a 14 by 25. At the time, I think it's
They're very sturdy. They're very sturdy. I got the same one. And we have 60-mile-per-hour gusts. By God's grace, they're still standing. Still very good. Okay, so let's go in here. Insect, messengers of God. I'm sorry, what time is it? Real quick. 10:47. Okay. Yes?
So if my strawberries aren't reaching like they're not as big as they were before, so how do I get them to get bigger?
Well, if any kind of fruit is not as big, even plants, that's indication of low magnesium, low phosphorus. They're the ones that help it grow. So you have to do a soil test to find out, where you're at. But it's indication of low magnesium or low phosphorus or low both.
About strawberries, don't you have to replant them and restart over after ever so many years? They don't continue to propagate on and on and on, do they?
We had some that were about 4 years going, about 4 years.
Then
Yeah.
you start over.
Yeah, I mean, but they were still going. They were still going. We just removed them and put new ones in there. Yeah, but if you balance out the soil, let me tell you, after about, I think it was about the third year. Yeah, the third year, we noticed the taste go down a little bit. It's not the same.
I heard they get more like hollow inside and they just, yeah, they aren't.
They
just-
degrade.
they degrade.
Yeah, they start degrading.
Mhm.
Okay, so let's talk about, yes,
What plant was that? You're talking about?
Strawberries.
strawberries.
Oh,
Okay, insects. I call them messengers of God. Why? We're going to find out. Why is not my thing working here now? Okay, we're told that the things of nature are the Lord's silent messengers given to us to teach us spiritual truths. So, what did she just call the things of nature? Silent messengers. Let me ask you a question. Are those bugs that are out there eating your plants, are they silent messengers?
Yeah.
Yes, they are, even though we don't like to admit it or that we don't want to admit it. They speak to us of the love of God and declare the wisdom of the great master artist. Adventist Home 246. Oh, 146. I'm sorry. What did she just say right now? She said they, including the harmful bugs, they speak to us of the love of God and declare the wisdom of the great master artist. Even the harmful bugs. Nobody said amen.
Amen.
Nobody said it. I'm like, no, I'm not dealing with those. But they are God's silent messengers. Now, I put this there because remember, we always want to mix the two, right? Satan has taken this, copied it, and has perverted it. That's why we have spiritualism. But God is the one that invented it. Okay? Nature has to be combined with the natural has to be combined with the spiritual, right? The work of God ever calls for self-sacrificing men, and every soul who has the knowledge of the truth is bound to communicate the light to others. What's the key? Communication. Once we know, we're bound to do what?
Tell others.
Tell others. Okay. Now, there's a spiritual lesson in here. Why do I have this in farming or agriculture? Let's learn. What are we supposed to do? We're supposed to communicate. In many dark places of the earth are the faithful believers, right? To the best of their ability, they are trying to help and encourage one another as members of Christ's body and to communicate to their friends and neighbors a knowledge of the precious truth that is transforming their own lives. Review and Herald, April 14, 1910. Again, the key is communication. Very important, okay? Now, nature teaches us the lesson of communication. Plants communicate with each other to help each other. Remember and the tobacco plant? Do you remember that? Well, let's learn a little bit more. Ted Farmer and Clarence Ryan worked with local sagebrush, which produced copious amounts of methyl jasmonate, an airborne organic chemical that Ryan thought plants were using to ward off insect herbivores. What were the plants emitting?
Aerial assault.
Yes, an aerial assault. You can say that, yes, right?
Methanol.
Jasmonate. Okay, this is an airborne chemical, organic chemical that Ryan thought plants were using to ward off insect herbivores. In their experiment, when damaged sagebrush leaves were put into airtight jars with potted tomato plants, the tomato began producing proteinase inhibitors. These are compounds that harm insects by disrupting their digestion. In other words, as soon as the sagebrush, which was affected, was placed in together with tomato plant, what did the tomato plant do? It communicated, right? By producing these compounds that harm the insects by disrupting their digestion. So the plants were, what were the plants doing? Communicating to do what? With what purpose? To help each other, right? Isn't that what we just read previously? that once we know the knowledge of the truth, what are we to do? Share it, communicate with others. Because are they not in danger? Yes, they are in danger. If they don't know Christ, they're in danger of being lost eternally. But if we know the truth, we share it so that they can come to a knowledge of the truth. And here the tomato plant is doing the same thing with the sagebrush. It is telling, the sagebrush is saying, help me, please. And it's putting out this airborne message to help it out.
Tomato was in service today.
In service, right? Servitude. Yes, thank you. Plants can communicate with insects as well, sending airborne messages that act as distress signals to predatory insects, like what we talked about yesterday, right? With the not yesterday, Sabbath, with the tobacco plant. So they send these distress signals to predatory insects that kill herbivores. Maize plants, or maize, these are corn, attacked by bee armyworms, releases a cloud of volatile chemicals that attract wasps to lay eggs in the caterpillars' bodies. Didn't the tobacco plant do the same thing? The same thing. But do you know that the way that they are growing our food today, these messages are disappearing in the plant. They're not able to communicate anymore because of the conventional way we're growing. It's sad, but it's happening.
They're silencing the voice of God.
Oh, yes. Thank you. You see? You know what it has to do with? Has to do with the diet of the plant. And do you know that if our diet is damaged, how can we have a clear mind to communicate to others? Right? Thank you, Brother Larry. We're learning, right? A 2011 report found that commercial corn hybrids seem to have lost, notice this, lost the wild maize plant's ability to release chemicals that attract parasitic wasps that kill stem borer moths. It's the way we are growing, the way we're feeding the soil, right? Interesting, very interesting. Now, you know people can be Satan's garbage collectors? The enemy stirs up persons whose hearts are not stayed upon God, who are admitting into their hearts unpleasant and disagreeable things to ponder over. Gossip, right? And then pass along the unsavory dish as a repast for other minds and hearts. This is feeding upon Satan's garbage and makes the soul impoverished. Wow. Incredible, huh? Now, how is this connected with the soil? Remember Matthew 13:25, but while men slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat. Okay? William Albrecht, the late William Albrecht, the soil scientist, he said insects are nature's garbage collectors. Is there a parallel there between what we just read, the Spirit of Prophecy, and now? Okay. This is what we see when we see a healthy plant. Do you see any bug pressure there? Do you see any diseases there? See any weeds around? No. It's a pretty healthy plant, right? Now, what about bugs when they see a healthy plant? What do they see? They see nothing. Sorry?
Nothing. Go ahead.
What about when we see an unhealthy plant? There's the Japanese beetle right there. He's leaving a skeleton on that leaf, or they are.
That's food there. Sick plant. That's what.
Yes, exactly. Insects are nature's garbage collector. So that plant in reality is being produced by a garbage soil, in other words. Okay? What bugs see when they see an unhealthy plant? Okay, the first one to the left is what we see. The first one on the left is what we see when we see an unhealthy plant. Now notice what the bug sees when he sees an unhealthy plant. Yes, he says, why? Why is that? Let's talk about that. Bugs can see unhealthy plants from a long distance. Plants and insects communicate on the infrared spectrum, and plants that have high levels of ammonia, nitrates, and soluble amino acids show up on the infrared spectrum as a neon light against a dark background. In other words, this is your neon light right there where it says eat here. That's what they are seeing when they see an unhealthy plant. And I got this from Philip Callahan's book. He was the scientist, remember, that the Army, the government of the United States Army hired to find out how to fly over their enemy without being detected. He went and studied the bugs to give him the answer. All right, to succeed in agriculture, we must. No one can succeed in agriculture or gardening without attention to what? The laws involved. Remember I said the natural has to be combined with the spiritual. The same laws that are applied to the spiritual are applied to the natural, right? Okay, let's continue. Somebody was asking me, who was it this morning? Somebody was asking me about slugs. I don't think they're here. Oh, it was Sister Kim's parents, I think it was. Slugs and snails. If you see them in your garden, they'll be chomping away and eating your lettuce and your other veggies. If you see them in your garden, they are messengers. They're telling you that you have high phosphorus inside your soil, because that's what attracts them. And so this is why there's a natural remedy called Slug-O, that you would pour out there to prevent them from coming or kill them. But how about fixing your soil, your imbalance in your soil? Would they disappear? Yeah, they would disappear, right? By balancing out your soil. What about the aphids? Aphids represent you have high nitrates. In other words, too much nitrogen in your soil. Amino acids, ammonia. All of this is what attracts these bugs and insects, because remember, their little antennas, they pick up on all of that and they fly over to the plant and say, okay, it's time to munch. It's lunchtime. There is a way you can fix temporarily the aphids from off your plant. Remember what I said the other day? What mineral? I said you can use a mineral. What mineral was it? Molybdenum. Moly, short for molybdenum. You will get, now molybdenum, I will tell you where you can get all the minerals in another lesson here. But molybdenum and cobalt are pretty expensive. They come in powder form. But you do not use a lot of it. You only use grams of it on your garden, only grams. Now, if you want to spray your leaves because of aphids, you only take a pinch of moly, put it inside a gallon of water, shake it up really good, and foliar spray your leaves. And the aphids will disappear or die, because the moly helps the plant complete its protein. It'll help make that complete protein so that the bugs are not eating it. What they're saying in effect is that they put out the proboscis and start sucking on that juice in the plant. They love simple sugars. They don't like complex carbohydrates. Like us human beings don't like complex carbohydrates, right? That's why we like the simple sugars, right? And that's why we're sick. Okay, cutworm. Remember what I said the other day? You see a cutworm, especially in your brassica family, like a cabbage, low calcium, not enough calcium in there. Pill bug, roly-polies. Yeah. You guys know what that is? Yeah. High phosphorus. Now let me share something about the roly-poly or the pill bug. I'm pretty sure many of us are aware of what's happening in our air, right? With if I say, okay, we know what the airplanes are doing, right? Flying over and that. Okay. Aluminum is being thrown into the air, along with other toxic chemicals. Now, listen. Does Satan have the upper hand on God? No. Does God already have the answer for that? Yes. Right here, this pill bug. This pill bug, what it does also, aside from high phosphorus, what it does is it comes and removes the toxic waste from around the plants. If I have a balanced soil, I don't have high phosphorus, and I see them there, come on. If I have high phosphorus, like Brother Ernie has high phosphorus, if there's roly-polies out there, don't kill them. Don't kill them, all right? Yes, they are, yes. The toxic waste. They remove toxins from the soil. How about this guy right here? The tomato hornworm, yes. Have you ever seen him on your plant? If you've grown tomatoes, you've seen them. I'm sure you've seen them. Yes. And then you got the cutworm right there. Now, construction of appropriate proteins in the plants does not permit certain insects to eat plants. Now, these are the soft body insects. These right here, these bugs you see on the screen right here, like the tomato hornworm and the cutworm, these are soft body insects. Now, the hard shell insects are harder to kill. They're a little bit harder to kill. Insects cannot digest complete proteins like complex carbohydrates. Amino acids in plants have to rapidly build into proteins. This is why I said temporarily fixed with the molybdenum. It will rapidly build that protein if you spray it in there, but that's just a temporary fix. You have to balance out the soil. This is how we have resistance to larva insects, cabbage earworm, cutworm, tomato hornworm, caterpillar families, aphids, whiteflies. Now let me share a quick story about the walnut curculio. That's him right there to the right. The walnut curculio. You see him on top of that walnut? Do you know what he's doing? He's dropping his egg inside. Let me share a quick story. There were 2 farms, walnut farms, out in California, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. One was growing according to this protocol, and the one next to it. Now think about this. They were right next to each other. The one next to it was not. The one following these protocols had no issues with the walnut curculio. None whatsoever. They were not putting their eggs in the walnut. But the other one was having so many issues. So the walnut curculios, what they were doing was they were hanging out. Just what the word that they use out in the streets, they were just chilling. They were just relaxing on the organic farm that was following these protocols. They were just, hey man, what's up? Yeah, everything's good, man. It's time to eat. All right, let's go. They will go to the other farm and they will lay their eggs in that walnut. And they will come back and hang out in the other farm. The farm that didn't follow the protocol, that had the problem with this bug, got so upset, went to the government, right? Went to the county and said, I need you to have all those sprayed because they're destroying my walnuts. And the government made the farm that was following the protocol spray his trees. Why could he not just go to the other farm and say, what are you doing that you're not having problems? Unfortunately, right? The protocol that I'm teaching right here, the cation exchange, total cation exchange capacity. A healthy soil is the best defense against pests. A healthy body, physically and spiritually, is the best defense against the enemy. And we're told the more nearly we come into harmony with God's original plan, the more favorable will be our position to secure health of body, mind, and soul. Now, does that include having good food to eat? Yes. But if we don't have good food to eat, then will we? No. I can look. Let me tell you a story about Brother Whitmar McConnell. He's the agronomist that I was talking to you about. You can send your analysis to, and he'll give you the recommendations. He was telling a story about a doctor who lived, I think it was somewhere in the neighborhood of 2 or 3 hours away from his house. Well, he would drive to his farm to buy the produce and then go back home. He would only buy from his farm. And then one day the doctor came out there. He was a well-to-do person, right? He came back out there with his nice car, vehicle, his high-dollar suit and everything. And he came out there with his lawn chair and he asked Brother Whitmar, can I just hang out here, just kind of relax out here? He said, sure. He pulled out his camping chair and just relaxed there. And Brother Whitmar asked him, says, so why do you drive so far, all the way over here? He says, because your food has changed me and my family's health. He said, I cannot get from anywhere else the food that we're getting from you. He says, we have clearer minds, and this is not a Seventh-day Adventist. Clearer minds. We have healthier dispositions. We wake up happier. What did she just say right here? The more nearly we come into harmony with God's original plan, the more favorable will be our position to secure health of body, mind, and soul. That's incredible, brothers and sisters. And I tell you, and I'll share a quick story about our experience. We had in the farm I used to work at with the strawberries. The owner of the farm hired a contractor to pave the road, pave the driveway. Okay, this guy was a walking chimney. He smoked like 3-4 packs a day. I mean, one after another, just puffing one after another. And so he came to us. He saw us harvesting our strawberries. He came to us and he said, "Do you mind if I buy some strawberries for you?" And since I was harvesting, I put some in like a gallon Ziploc bag, and I just said, "Here, you take it. Just take it. It's for you. Don't worry about it." So he took it home. The next day he came back. He said, "Man," he said, "those are the best strawberries I ever tasted." Now, what happens to the taste buds of heavy smokers? Goes away. That's why they had to add a lot more salt, a lot more sugar, right? But he said, "Man," he said, "the sweetness." And then he said, "Can I have some more?" We finished harvesting that day. We had to wait for the other ones to be ripe, so we didn't have any more. I said, "I don't have any more right now. Maybe in about 3 days." He said, "Okay." I told him, there's another farm. It was about 8 miles away from us, somewhere in that neighborhood. There's another, they sell strawberries. He said, "Okay, I'll go over there." He went over there. He bought some. The next day he came back and he had the strawberries in his hand. And he came to me and he said to me, "I bought some strawberries from the other farm over there." Threw them on the ground. He said, "This is the worst strawberries I ever ate." He was a heavy, heavy smoker. And look at the taste. I mean, the Brix index in that was super high for that sweetness. This is the kind of benefit you get, brothers and sisters, from working the soil diligently, perseveringly, trusting the Lord, and faithfully, right? Listen, remember I told you, how long for me to have hardly no bug pressure and diseases? How long did it take me? 2 years. Yes, my sister. Oh, I thought you were raising your hand. Okay, let's continue. Now we need to learn to identify the beneficial and the harmful insects, because we don't want to go out there and kill the beneficial bugs, right? We might think they're bad, but we don't want to do that because we can do damage. For example, the green lacewing. Now, if most of you, let's be honest, if most of you would have seen the one on the left, the green lacewing on your plant, what would you have done? Probably kill it, right? Thank you. One is honest, but the rest of you, would you have killed it? Yeah, right? Okay, how about the praying mantis? Probably not, right? Most of us have seen a praying mantis, but they're beneficial. They're very good. I've seen a few by our camper. I picked them up straight to the garden. Then we have the ground beetles. Let's be honest. How many of you stepped on a ground beetle? Those are beneficial. Then you have the pirate bug. Now that pirate bug, he looks like an assassin, right? He looks like he would chew up your leaf and your fruit, but he's not. He's. Listen. You ever heard of friendly fire? It happened in the Gulf War. Remember? Friendly fire. When we kill these bugs, we are killing our friends. Yeah. So you have to learn to identify them as well. Then you have the syrphid flies. You have the wasps. All wasps are beneficial, even if they sting you. Don't hate them. They're beneficial. Okay, then you have some of these. This is not an exhaustive list, but these are some of the harmful bugs. You have the potato beetle right there, right? The cutworm. You have the flea beetle there at the bottom left-hand corner. Oh, those love eggplants. They'll tear up your eggplants. The aphids, right? Tomato hornworm, the cutworm. What am I doing here? Okay. Now, remember what I said about somebody who stood up and said, "Hey, don't kill the ants." Here's the quote right here. We have to be aware of New Age teaching. As she says, in First Selected Messages, page 170, letters have come to me asking in regard to the teaching of some who say that nothing that has life should be killed, not even insects, however annoying or distressing they may be. Is it possible that anyone claims that God has given him this message to give to the people? The Lord has never given any human being such a message. God has told no one that it is a sin to kill the insects which destroy our peace and rest. Is that clear?
Amen.
Is that clear?
Amen.
Very clear. So please, do not let anybody tell you this is a New Age teaching. Don't kill those bugs. No, they are harmful. They will, if we don't kill them, they'll destroy our plants. Okay, let me go to real quick. Let me go to the weeds. I apologize for keeping asking. What time is it? Okay, weeds are also messengers of God. We're told in Adventist Home 142, in the cultivation of the soil, the thoughtful worker. Just always remember that. Whenever you go outside, have an open mind. The thoughtful worker will find that treasures little dreamed of are opened up before him. Now notice the attention required in keeping out weeds. What? The what? The attention. Brother Ernie, this is where we're going to need your my best friend and your stirrup hoe. Okay, out there when we go out there. And if you want to maybe take your plants out there and also water them so they can be ready. They're watered? Okay, thank you, brother. Okay, let me just jump this. Okay, what did the Jews do to the messengers God sent them? Kill them. Let me ask you a question. Are we doing the same thing with God's messengers? Bugs and the weeds? Yes. Yes, we are. We're doing the same thing, okay? I'm just going to jump this real quick. Okay. Let me go through this real quick. I can't jump this. Excuse me. I'm going to read Matthew 13, 24 to 30. Another parable put forth unto them, saying, this is Jesus speaking, the kingdom of heaven is likened unto a man which sowed good seed in his field. But while men slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat, and went his way. But when the blade was sprung up and brought forth fruit, then appeared the tares also. Now, we have to sit down and really, really study this parable here. It's very important. Now, Jesus' explanation begins in verse 37. The man which sowed this good seed is Jesus. The field was the world. The good seed sown, the children of God. The tares, the children of the wicked one. Enemy that sowed them was the devil. The harvest at the end of the world. The reaper's servants were the angels of God. Now, number one, when were the tares sown into the field? When men slept. Number two, what did the angels of God ask to do? Should they remove the tares along with the weeds, right? Number three, how did God answer them? No. Because you might be in danger of doing what? Pulling both of them out, right? What is God trying to teach me about the weeds in my garden? Well, let's find out. Here's the lesson. Wheat. Wheat is used in all types of food and also making paper. Now, tare. Let's talk about the tare. The Hebrew word for tare means darnel or false grain. What does it mean? False grain. Wheat is called also wheat's evil twin, but also called false wheat. Darnel is poisonous if infected with a fungus called neotyphodium. One could become nauseated, drunk, and he can even die from it. Now, the weeds in our garden reveal the characteristics of the soil. The weeds in our lives reveal the characteristics of the heart. Now, the reason why Jesus said, do not pull it out, because they were still young. Both of them were still young. And you could not tell the difference between the two. That's why it was called wheat's evil twin, because they looked exactly alike until when? Until harvest time. Do we have Christians within the church that look exactly like they might be eligible for the kingdom of God? But when will we know that they're not? Harvest time. Ooh, interesting. Okay. Now, weeds tell us a lot. They're messengers. Why are they called weeds? Because they grow where we don't want them. Why are they growing there? Because there's an imbalance in soil. In actuality, weeds are trying to replenish the lost minerals that were there. They're trying to reestablish what was lost, right? And we call them weeds because we don't want them in our garden. How many weeds are there in my soil? How many weeds? In 1 square foot. Okay, square foot is about that big. 1 square foot. How many weeds? Weed seeds. Yeah, wheat seeds. Thousands. Okay, thousands. Anybody else? There's about 1 million weed seeds per square foot. 1 million. So is that a real battle? Yeah. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Can I get rid of them permanently?
I thought there was a process.
Can we get rid of sin permanently from our lives? By God's grace, yes. Hey, listen. When I was in the world, I used to do a lot of evil things that I don't do today. That God helped me get rid of that. Yes, obviously, right? By God's grace. Okay. Thank you, brother. These are weeds and their messages. Like, for example, to the left, when you have a wet or moist soil, you'll have moss, spotted spurge, knotweed, chickweed, crabgrass, ground ivy, and the list goes on and on, okay? So if you want to take a picture, you can take a picture of it. These are the messages that they have. We have a dry, sandy soil. Those on the list is what you're going to have. Hard, compact soil. Who has a hard, compact soil? I think a lot of us do, right? These are the type of weeds you're going to find in there in the hard, compact. Bluegrass, chickweed, goosegrass, knotweed, mustard, morning glory, dandelion, nettle, plantain. But those are also medicinal, right?
Oh, yeah.
These are medicinal. These are very good. But they're also giving us a message, right? Poor and low fertility soil. Now, in the farm that I used to work at, we added mushroom compost. After adding mushroom compost, you know what grew there? Notice the last row right there. It says poor, low fertility. This is what grew there, right there. We had a lot of marshmallow and we had a lot of red clover, and it was not growing there before we put mushroom compost. As soon as we amended it with mushroom compost, these two exploded. I mean, just exploded, the marshmallow and the red clover. Where did they come from? And I didn't understand this at the beginning until I started studying this out. And I said, oh, why are they there? Let's read again. Look at the last row. Poor, low fertility soil. In other words, in what condition was my mushroom compost? Poor. See, I don't know what they did with it, right? I don't know where it came. I know where it came from, right? I got where the garden center I got it from. We got a big, huge truck, but I don't know what they did with it. I don't know how they processed it. I have no idea. When this started growing, I said, "Oh man, that was terrible mushroom compost." Do you see why Revelation 12:11 makes sense to us now in from a farming perspective? You remember what Revelation 12:11 says? They overcame them by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. In other words, let's produce our own testimony in the soil. If we're bringing somebody else's testimony from the outside, it's not our testimony. We need to produce our own testimony so we can have good soil, right? And I'm not saying bringing soil from outside is bad. Again, Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 1, there's a season and a time and a place for everything, right? So when you see marshmallow, you have high potassium. When you see red clover, poor decomposition and poor fertility. And this was happening in my mushroom compost. When you see the dead nettle, this is another one that I saw a lot of. Dead nettle, poor decomposition, poor fertility. How about the dandelion? Poor fertility, low calcium. So weeds are messengers. They're telling us. What about the bindweeds? Anybody have any problem with bindweeds? Now notice, this is how some professionals get rid of bindweed. Karen White, notice, what is Karen White? She's a master gardener, an instructor at home garden schools. She says, use what? Roundup. To get rid of bindweed, use Roundup? Have you ever heard of Roundup? Glyphosate. Cancer-causing chemicals. Destroys the nerves. It's a chelator. It will remove the minerals from your body. Use Roundup. No, thank you. Well, let me ask you, then what's the problem here? What's going on? If weeds are messenger, what's going on with the high potassium? Can anybody guess?
It's high potassium, and that's why it's growing.
Low calcium, high potassium. Yes, thank you, brother. Low calcium, high potassium. Let me fix the imbalance in my soil, and guess what happens to the bindweed? It'll disappear on its own. On its own. No Roundup and no unhealthy body, right? Praise God. That which with which the parable of the sower chiefly deals is the effect produced on the growth of the seed by the soil into which it was cast into. This is very important, okay? Let's go over it again. That which the parable of the sower chiefly deals is the effect produced on the growth of the seed by the what? By the soil. In other words, even she's testifying to the fact that you have to focus on your soil. Because whatever the character of the soil, that's what it's going to produce, right? We are told in a book called Call to Stand Apart, page 20, sow the seed under right conditions. Under what kind of conditions? Right conditions. And it will do what? Develop its own life in the plant. Very clear, very simple. Now, how to control weeds? Cultivate. Do not pull weeds. If you get to that point by pulling weeds, listen, every weed plant is going to put down thousands of seeds. Thousands of seeds. In other words, you're adding a whole bunch more weed seeds into your soil. So you have to cultivate. What does cultivate mean? We're going to go out there and we're going to show you. This right here is what I call my best friend. This is Brother Ernie's, okay? He bought it because he saw that it was very useful and he needed it. In the Southeast, we have more issues with weeds than you do here because there's very low precipitation here, right? So this is my best friend. And what I like about this is that you can pull this apart. Just take it off and you can use different sizes. So this is sort of like the drill, the impact. Like the impact where you have a chuck here. Yeah, you just bring it down, add it, and you're ready to go. So this right here is a wire hole. What's so special about a wire hole? Let me come over here. You see no blades here, right? You see no knives. You don't see anything. So what I do, I'm going to show you right here. Oh, I didn't know there was. Okay, let's just say this is our garden bed right here, right? So what I'm going to do, I just finished transplanting. What I'm going to do is just go superficially, right above, on top, just back and forth like that. That's all I'm going to do. That's it. I'm not digging it deep inside. I'm not cutting into the dirt. All I'm doing is just superficially right on top. That's all. By the end, by the time I stop, I should have a bunch of root hairs here hanging. Those root hairs were the weed seeds that were germinating. I just remove it, throw it away, and I continue. Faithfully once a week. Faithfully doing once a week, you shouldn't have problems with weeds unless you have very high potassium. If you have very high potassium, then you're going to have weeds coming out of your ears. Now, this is called cultivating right here. This is what we want. We do not want to get into the soil and start pulling weeds out because, let's say, for example, this is my garden bed right here, right? Say, for example, I got eggplants planted all here. And say I got a bunch of weeds around here. Now, would that make my job a lot harder and a lot longer to sit there and try to pull those weeds out of there versus what I just did right now? This right here is called a stirrup hoe or a double blade hoe. There's a blade here and has a blade here. It's still a little bit sharp, good. Okay, so the reason why it's called a double blade hoe, a stirrup hoe, is because it rocks back and forth, back and forth. Okay, this will cut just about any weed right off the ground from the roots. It will cut it. You have to just go back and forth, back and forth. Now, if you do this inside your garden, you waited too long. This is why, again, you have to do what? Cultivate. Cultivate. Don't weed. If you get to that point, you waited too long. And you know what? In reality, what's happening in our garden represents what's happening in our lives. Did you know that? So if we have a lot of weeds in our garden, what about the weeds in our life? That hurt, right? Ouch. Ouch. Yeah. Oh, hey, listen, I had a lot of ouchies. A lot of ouchies. And the Lord said, I'm going to work with you. Here, I'm going to show you right here real quick. Okay, I'm doing the lettuce right there. You see, look at the screen. Those are lettuce. See, I'm going just around it. Once a week faithfully. Do you see any weeds there? Once a week faithfully. That's all I need to do. Just going around those lettuces. I don't need to disturb the lettuces. No weeds. Good to go. Okay, the other thing you could do is you can burn, like this brother has a torch right there, a flame torch. You can burn the weeds. Now, this is what I do. Once I have my bed ready to go, before I transplant, I take a torch, a flame torch, and I just burn. I'll go about that high off the ground with my torch and just burn it. Back and forth, back and forth. There's also a flame weeder. It's a wide one. Never Sing Farm sells it. It's a wide one, and you just connect the torch to it, and then there's a backpack for your propane tank, the small little 10-gallon propane tank, and all you do is just push it, just like this. You would just push it along, and it will burn the soil in there in the ground. Yes, it will burn some of the microbes, but remember, most of the microbes are down inside, and all you're doing is just killing the weeds. Because every time you stir up the soil, weed seeds, you're awakening the weed seeds. Every time you stir up, you can step on it. You awoken them. And what we did over there yesterday with the broad fork, we stirred up those seeds. We stirred them up. Okay, so every time. So this is why after I get my bed ready before I plant, torch it. And another thing you can do also, what vegetable plant goes really fast, harvesting really in 30 days? Which one? I heard it back there. Radish, yes, radish. Okay, here's another trick you can do. Say, for example, you're planting, let's say, kale. You direct sow seeds inside the soil, right? Direct sow. You know what I mean by direct sow? Straight in the ground. Okay, I just planted all my seeds in there, right? Since they have to go a little bit down. Put also radish seeds in there, because the radish seed is going to come up quickly, really fast. As soon as that radish seed germinates and comes up, burn it. Burn the whole thing. The reason why is because when you wait a few days, you're giving the wheat seed a time to germinate. And as soon as it germinates, along with that radish, you're killing it. So now the kale that's going to come up is going to come up weed free for a while. Everybody follow me? Okay. The other thing you can do is you can use plastic mulch or a weed block like the one Brother Ernie has out there, or you see in the screen in here. And never leave it naked. And I have a quote here from Exodus chapter 20, verse 26. And it says, "Neither shalt thou go up by steps unto mine altar, that thy nakedness be not discovered thereon." This is talking to the high priest. The high priest was not allowed to go up the steps so people could look under. Because God didn't want anybody's nakedness to be shown, right? Well, guess what? The same thing with the garden. We cannot leave it naked. We cannot leave it bare. We have to have something growing all the time in it. Very important. The other thing you could do is mulch. You could do straw mulch, but again, be careful, because a lot of the straw mulch is sprayed with glyphosate. So be careful with it, okay? You can use pine straw. You can use straw mulch. You could, but then at the same time, as it's decomposing, you're adding a little bit of nitrogen. But yeah, you can use it too. Yeah, you can use pine needles. I mean, it's acidic, but yeah, we don't want to make our soils acidic, in other words. And again, I'm going to repeat what I said already 2 times. I'm going to say it for the 3rd time, and for those watching too. Do not make the soil and the blueberry plants acidic. They can tolerate an acidic soil, but they don't grow best in acidic soil. We had 6.5 pH in our soil back at the farm I used to work at, and the blueberries were nice and big and delicious, very sweet. Iron, they love iron, and iron is acidic, but they also love calcium. Is calcium acidic? No, it's alkaline, right? They just need a balance. All they need is a balance in the soil. You can use a 6 mil plastic to smother weeds. Now, here's another trick you can do. If you can, if it's possible, have 2 garden plots, okay? And if you're having issues with weeds, use one for your garden to grow, but the other one, put something like this. This is called a silage tarp. Farmer's Friend sells the really big ones, a silage tarp, not the Home Depot tarp. But they'll last you maybe 1 season and they break and fall apart. Silage tarp will last you a long time. They're very thick. And Jonathan Dysinger and Farmer's Friend sells them. They're very good. So the other plot, the second plot, put the silage tarp on there and leave it a minimum of 6 months. I would say a year better. You wet it really good, cover it. And then the sun, when that sun hits that black plastic, what's it going to do to the underneath? It's going to cook it. Those weed seeds are going to fry under there. They're going to die. We had one gentleman do this over there in Georgia. I told him to do this. And then he hired us to come and make the beds for him so that we can put the minerals and all of that. And I came over to his garden plot, and he did exactly what I told him. And he had crabgrass over there. I mean, crabgrass was everywhere except right there where he put the silage tarp. No crabgrass at all. They were dead, gone. So it was really good. And then you can switch over. Then after about a year, you can switch plots. Now the plot that you had wheat problems and you had the silage tarp start growing there, right? And in the other one, you can put the your vegetables. Tall plants form canopies, so they could cover the sun and form shade underneath, so the weed seeds won't grow. Now let me say this right here. A well-balanced mineralized soil produces a weed-free garden. Very, very important. Let's talk about the auxins. Auxins are hormones that the plants produce. Now, an auxin this is what the auxin do. The auxins in the roots, right? They will send out a signal to the weed seeds around it. And if you have a well-balanced soil, it will put those weed seeds around the vicinity of that plant to sleep for 3 to 4 weeks. That's a long time, right? But if you have an unbalanced soil, it will put it to sleep for about 3 days. Now, which one do we want? Yeah, the first one, right? We want about 3 to 4 weeks to put them to sleep. But that's only in a well-balanced soil. So in other words, God already equipped us, right? Nature to help us out with our problems, right? Praise God for that. Amen. What time is it?
11:15.
11:15. Man, okay. I'm gonna do the I should have had it ready. I'm gonna do the frost protection real quick for you guys. If I can find it. Where's it at? Where's it at? Where is that? Give me 1 second here. Don't want to lose you, brothers and sisters. Here it is. Okay, let's talk about frost protection. Now, where does the frost come from? Did God create frost? Job 38:29. From whose womb did the ice come from? And who has given birth to the frost of heaven? Oh, it's not? Yeah. There it goes. Okay. All right. We're told by Gary Watson. He says, the biggest danger to plants is a sudden deep freeze. As long as they have time to adjust, they're okay. It's when change happens suddenly, quickly, that it can cause trouble. How many of you have had frost issues with your fruit trees? So you have that problem here too? Yeah. Then they start budding, all of a sudden a frost comes right after. Oh, we get that all the time over there back in the southeast, in Tennessee, Georgia, all the time. Okay, best protection is a healthy plant. Okay, a healthy plant can protect itself to an estimated 26 to 24 degrees. Wow, that's pretty good, right? That's pretty good for a plant to work on its own. But you need to have good levels of potassium and magnesium. Potassium in fall is very necessary for the formation and storage of sugars in the cells, because the sugars in the cells are going to help protect it against the frost. More sugars in the cells, more protection. Magnesium, it promotes the growth of healthy roots and consequently helps the plant absorb sufficient water at higher levels when the ground is frozen, so it protects the roots. So the potassium, you have good levels of potassium, good levels of magnesium, you have good protection also with your plants. This is why a healthy plant is a very good protection against the frost. Now, you can use also, and I ran out of kelp. For those of you that did buy kelp, this is good for frost protection, okay? Kelp and BioWash 25. That's where this comes in right here. I use it, as you can tell. We use this every spring. This is BioWash 25 and also kelp. Very good. This is very good. It helps a lot. This is not a chemical, all right? This helps. This also helps with the cation exchange capacity as well. But I use also the kelp. What do? We foliar spray 3 days before a frost. If we know, for example, today's Monday. Monday. Okay, let's just say, for example, Thursday, there's going to be a frost. Then everybody here would go out and foliar spray your trees right now. Well, not when the sun is out. Don't do it because you'll burn the leaves. But I'm saying early in the morning or late at night. But it's better early in the morning. You have a better health. No, it's better for the health of the plant, so they won't stick to the leaves all night. But anyway, so you would go out there and you would foliar spray the whole tree. All right, the leaves, the roots, everywhere. 3 days before. The other thing you can do is I don't know if I have it here, but the other thing you can do is grab 5-gallon bucket water. Don't get hot water because obviously it's going to turn cold. Just fill up 5-gallon bucket waters and put them underneath your tree branches, because the evaporation is going to help against the frost as it's evaporating up. Okay. And then the other thing you could do too is what we just did yesterday. What was that? Row covers. Yes. Row covers is one of the best protections. And here, let me show you here. We had -5 degree in Tennessee. And I had cilantro, I had spinach, I had lettuce growing underneath here. I had cabbage right underneath these. -5 degrees, and they all survived underneath the row covers. None of them died. So row covers is very, very important. Go ahead.
Okay, so I heard that the leaf of the plant is not supposed to
Touch, yes.
or else it'll.
Yes. If it touches the row cover, then it will get frost. It'll burn. And even if, like in that type of weather, -5, even if that little bit touches, it can affect the whole plant. Okay, so it is dangerous as long as you don't have them touching. But if you have a big plant, like let's say a big cabbage that's grown over there, then you have to just go a little wider or taller. Exactly.
I heard one point that somebody said that if you wet the plant, let it freeze.
Like mist of.
Miss the plant, fruit tree or something, let it freeze, it only stays at 32.
Leave the sprinklers running. Just leave it running. You can turn it off. But how many of us can do that? Not
It
too.
does work, but it just.
I heard both ways. I've never done it. I heard both ways. That yes, some of them were, like for example, grains were protected from it. Then I heard vegetables were not protected from it. So I've never done it. Yes, sir.
Is the kelp spray good for veggies also?
Yes. It is very good. It's food. It's food for the plant and it's food for the microbes. Okay. So you can.
For the ice protection, freeze.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It helps build up that cell wall.
Okay.
Because that's where the sugar's in the cell wall, because that's where your protection is at. Yes.
You mentioned something about the 5-gallon bucket. What are you doing with that? Or just more, are you adding something?
Water, just water. Okay, you get your 5-gallon bucket of water and you place it underneath the tree, the branches. Okay, this is your tree right here. This is the branch, right? So you put your bucket underneath and the evaporation will come up, help protect it. Oh,
Oh, you disconnected.
no, this is an old laptop and my cord doesn't work. If I move it, it cuts off. No, it's okay. I stepped on the cord. And it says, you know why I keep my laptop?
Give him another sticker.
Well, no, the sticker will fix the laptop. I don't know what.
There you go.
I just got to get another cord. Yes, sir.
Where we came from before, they have a lot of citrus, and it does get cold. So I've seen where they run the water.
Yeah.
And you can see it evaporating and create a mist.
Yes.
On those trees. You know, the other thing they did is what they call smudge pots.
Yeah.
Here they do windmills.
They have also the windmills, but
Haven't you heard them from your house?
not too often.
Oh, when we were camping in Shane Cabby's, we heard them. They were loud. They sounded like helicopters.
Okay, can you see this?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. This is the shade cloth I was talking about yesterday. I had, if I'm not mistaken, I think those were collards in there. Collards, again, the cool weather crops do not like heat, but we were growing the collards in there, if I'm not mistaken. And so we put the shade cloth in there because it was 80 degrees. They don't like that kind of weather. They like cool weather. So Brother Ernie out there really needs shade cloth. Did you say you had some, brother?
No, I have for the greenhouse.
Oh, for the greenhouse. Oh, okay. Yes. Okay, there's 30%, there's 50%, there's 70%. But when typical weather like this, because yesterday was what, 85 or something like that, somewhere in that neighborhood? Ooh, then yeah, I would use 50 or 70%. But at the same time, if you are going to grow a cool weather crop, make sure you water it midday. Keep it cool as well, okay? All right. So what time is it, brothers?
It's 11:30, just about
11:30?
11:20.
Okay. Again, I apologize. We started late. We started half an hour late, and I'm trying to get a lot covered in a short time.
So is that it for the frost?
Yes, that was it for the frost.
Where do you recommend we get the shade cloth?
Shade cloth, you can get it at Deerfield Supply. Try Farmer's Friend as well. I think they might sell it. I think they sell shade cloth and row covers as well, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, cover crops. I want to go through this quickly, and this is the last one, and then we go outside. Cover crops. Very, 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 very important, okay? If you're growing anything, please grow cover crops. Even if you're not growing nothing. How many of you have not started your garden? Has not. Okay. Cover crops. Put cover crops down. That's it. Just throw them out there and, just mix them up a little bit with your soil and let them grow. Very important. Now, you have to know what kind of cover crops for when. You can't just throw, whatever for whatever. Like, I wouldn't be throwing right now alfalfa. So what are they? Plants that are sown to cover the soil but are not harvested, which is why we call them green manure. We're not calling them cash crops because they're not harvested to sell. It's green manure. Cover crops manage soil erosion. Now notice, they manage soil erosion, soil fertility, and many other benefits such as attract beneficial microbes. This is why we want them there. And we want a diversity of them. Attracts beneficial insects and pollinators, and we do want the beneficial insects in there as well. Adds nitrogen, right? The legumes do. Through a bacteria called the rhizobia, like remember the azotobacter we talked about yesterday, right? The nodules. Adds organic matter, helps soil structure, prevents soil compaction, prevents topsoil from blowing away. Prevents topsoil from blowing away.
Amen.
Prevents topsoil from blowing away.
Ernie's not paying attention.
Prevents topsoil from blowing away.
Cover crops.
Yeah. I'm charging all of you on your card.
And notice what the last words I put there in parentheses.
Especially in the Midwest.
Okay, it adds carbon fertility as well. So cover crops are really, really good. Okay, and remember the book I said to buy? Managing Cover Crops Profitably. And if you don't want to buy the book, then go to Google that word, Managing Cover Crops Profitably, and download their PDF file. It's a free book you can download, right? PDF file, because it will tell you what cover crop to use for your region. Very, very important. And I cannot emphasize that enough.
How do you find out the region?
The book will tell you. The book will tell you. Okay, legumes, nitrogen fixers. They convert nitrogen from the air and return it to the soil. Then you got the grains and grasses. Grains and grasses will protect soil from erosion, scavengers for nitrogen, potassium, and produces great organic matter. Brassicas, they're the mustards, radishes to help pests, releasing a chemical called glucosinolate. When plant cells are ruptured, fast growing, and weed suppressors. Now, one of the best weed suppressor out there is buckwheat. Buckwheat, it'll grow fast. Boom, it's out already gone. It grows so fast it'll beat all the weeds. It just grows. Now, but if you have high phosphorus levels, you do not want to put buckwheat out there. because it will scavenge for more phosphorus. You don't want to have that to happen. Broadleaf crops, there's both legumes and the brassica leaves. Then you have a cover crop mix. It harnesses several benefits to work synergistically. So diversity of cover crops, very, very, very important. They're very good weed suppressors during the off season. Now, this is what I call off season. For example, right now for us, some of the beds we're not going to utilize. It's off season for them. So what am I going to do with them? Cover crops, yes, and we have them down already. I put them down last month, and some of we have put down tiller radish. Anybody know what a tiller radish is? This big right now. It's going down. They call them tiller radish because they're supposed to till the soil, kind of open up a little bit. They start opening up a little bit, little by little. But this big and this fat, and I think I have a picture here of one that we harvested back at the farm I used to work at. Okay. Leaving the soil naked can lead to infestation of weeds, depleted soil nutrients, loss of structure through the elements, and also loss of humus. Remember what I told you about? Because the microbes have no food, so they'll start eating your humus. We don't want that to happen. This is why. You see those beds right there? Do you want to leave them like that? No. Cover crops. You can use some for winter. For example, here we have winter cover crops for Austrian winter peas, barley. Oh, by the way, another good place to go for your cover crops, True Leaf Market. They have a list of all the cover crops that you need as well. Very good place to go. True Leaf Market for cover crops. Winter cover crops, barley, crimson clover, hairy veg, tiller radish, winter rye, winter wheat. Summer cover crops, alfalfa, buckwheat, cowpeas, fava beans, garbanzo bean, mustard, sorghum Sudan grass, sun hemp, white clover. Now, this is not an exhaustive list, but these are good for the summer and good for the winter. Don't try to mix them. But at the same time, do not let some of these go to seed, because like a clover, for example, it will become a weed. It will become a weed. Now, when to seed your cover crop? Timing is everything for both fall and spring applications. Temperatures have to match the ideal requirements for the seed. Very important, brothers and sisters. Understand your soil. What kind of soil do you have? Is it compact? Is it thick? Is it too much clay? Is it light, sandy? What kind of weed problems do you have? You have to understand your soil again to know what kind of cover crops you're putting in there. This is why that book is I'm telling you, that book is so important. Managing cover crops profitably. Please, that's a very good book. If you can't buy it, download it for free. Tiller radish, winter rye, they help break up the soil. Mustard, winter rye, help suppress weeds. You have to broadcast these seeds around. Now, this is a picture of me working at the old farm I used to work at. When the cover crops are ready to be, you do not harvest them, remember. We're going to use them as green manure. When they're ready to be tilled in, I use my BCS tractor right there that you see there in the picture to the left. You don't need to buy a BCS tractor to do this. What you can do is you can get a lawnmower, a push mower, without a bag. Don't get the one with the bag, or don't discharge it from the sides. Just let it go straight down. Drop it as low as you can, okay? As low as you can, and just mow them. Just mow them. And then what you could do is get something like this, a stirrup hoe, and just stir up the top rest of it. Because you're going to see some of the stems that are left there. Just kind of gently, just kind of break it up. Leave it there. This is what I did. So I mowed everything down. And after I mowed everything down, you see me with a backpack right there? What I'm doing right there, I had molasses. I had kelp. And I had something else. Oh, man. I forgot. I'm sorry. I lost track. Anyway, I had molasses and I had kelp and I had water in there. And I had one more thing. I forgot what it was. So, I had the Spectrum. I put a little bit of the bacteria in there. So what I did was I sprayed. Here I'm walking, I'm spraying all my beds. So I am not going to plant. You see, it looks green, right? It looks like fresh mowed grass, right? I leave it there for about a month. And I spray it, and I just don't touch it there. I do not plant anything on top of it. I just leave it. After a month, I transplant all my stuff in there. because now I had all that green manure. I had all the benefits of what they were doing during the whole winter time that they were growing. I put it back into the soil. So I'm forming my soil structure, more microbes, right? Porosity, aggregating the soil. I mean, there's just a bunch of benefits to this. Now, when I transplanted all my plants, I mean, they popped up out of there so beautiful. I mean, just almost perfect, picture perfect. They were being fed. And so this is what we do after a month. Now, why not before? Well, you could do it before. You could transplant before, but the problem is that the microbes will focus more on decomposing the cover crops than they will on the roots of your plant. So we don't want that to happen, you know? So we want them to focus on the decomposition, right? A month. So I do this here in February, back in Tennessee. No, this was in Georgia. I did this in February, knocked it all out. By the time March came around, mid-March, I was already transplanting outside.
So that radish, that big radish is gonna decompose like in a month?
Yeah, the one you see in the picture right there.
The root, that's gonna decompose in a month.
Well, that's going to take a little longer. That's going to take a little longer, but it'll decompose.
So you don't need to till it, that's what I'm.
No. You could. Just shallow tilling. Shallow tilling, about 1 or 2 inches. You could shallow till.
Because if you don't get the crown off that, it's gonna sprout again, you know?
That's why I said do this.
Oh, that's a lot of work to cut the head off that thing.
Well, I mean, not everybody has a tiller, not everybody has a BCS tractor. So, you know, I'm just coming down to our level where we're, you know.
What were the three ingredients you said, molasses,
Kelp.
with water?
And so this was my helper back at the farm that I used to work at. He's the one that took over the farm. Hey, by the way, brothers and sisters, when I was leaving that farm, we were very sad because we made very good friends with the owners. They loved us and we loved them. They were not Seventh-day Adventists, but nevertheless, we fell in love with them. They fell in love with us. And we were really sad. And he told me, look for somebody to replace you. I went to all the churches looking for somebody to replace me right there. Nobody wanted it. It was country living and you were learning farming because I was teaching him. I would have told whoever, and then they would have lived in the farm. They would have had housing plus learning, but no Adventist raised their hand to say, I would go. I mean, I was devastated. I said, where are they? Where are they? Anyway.
They're out here.
But would some of you would have moved over there to Georgia to work out there? I mean, you know, that's the question. So anyway, you see the big radish he had there? That was pretty big, right?
Just a question, the radish, can you eat those radish?
Yes, you can eat them. You can make kimchi out of it.
That's daikon, it's another name.
Yeah, you can make kimchi out of them, and eat it. And hey, we had at this farm right here, we had the next door neighbor had a bunch of cattle, and when we had our cover crops during the fall in the winter, they would line up by the fence and just stare. Remember what I said? Go to the video in YouTube, The Other Side of the Fence by William Albrecht. You understand what I'm talking about? They were standing. The fence was not far from our garden. Like, for example, this was the fence, and they were on this side. And this is where my beds were, right here. So they were all standing in line looking. Just standing there. One of them broke through. And as soon as one broke through, they all came through. And guess what they were eating? Of cover crops. They were devastating. They know. I mean, he had 40 acres of grass. They didn't touch it. They wanted our cover crops. Go to that video. You understand why. The other side of the fence. Okay, you ready to go outside? Any questions before we go? Please do not leave. Please do not run away. Can you do me a favor, brother? Can you push end on my video, please? Thank you, brother.
He has to go to work.
For a little.